Now we're here at the end of April, and it's a perfect time to really be planning ahead, let alone if you're planning during the winter time, but we're actually taking action with our plan as it gets into the springtime here for establishing the perfect morning stand. You know, morning stands account for about 70% of my mature bucks throughout the years. I go to a lot of client properties and people say, well, I just don't hunt morning. Well, that's because people have gotten used to, and I don't want to say lazy, it's a lot easier hunting, just going in and hunting over a food source. You know you're going to see deer, and whether it's baiting in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan where I used to live, or hunting over food plots, it seems like that's what people become. There's people in the hunting industry, they only hunt over food plots now, it seems like. And that's not necessarily a good thing, because there's a lot of opportunity that's being missed by not hunting a morning stand. And why is a food plot not a morning stand? It's because deer are at that food source. Doesn't matter if it's a small one or a big one, they have a likelihood of being there. As the food source gets larger, that likelihood increases. But when you go in there in the morning, if you're going into a food source, you just spooked the deer. So one of the key ingredients, I'm going to talk about several key ingredients for creating the perfect morning stand so you can capture that mature buck movement, is making sure that you have separation between the food source that you're going in by and your stand location. Your stand location is not at the food source. You have to go around the food source. You can't spook deer off the food source when you go in. So you have to have that separation. Now in this location right here, the food source is about 150 yards that way. We have a small clover plot, and that bleeds into about a 4-acre holding plot. I call it a holding plot because deer go there in the afternoon, they hold till dark, and then they leave, go to neighboring food sources, which happens to be ag fields around here, even neighboring food sources, food plots. That food source right there could be full of deer when we come in the morning. So I don't want to walk anywhere near there. And so you have to have that separation. That creates afternoon, evening stands up there by the food source, and it creates that morning stand back here by bedding area. Now when we come into this, we actually have a separate trail right over here where we can park over here. There's actually a road system, a state highway. So we can come in on that road system over there. We can park down at the bottom. We can walk up through the woods. It's an open hollow. We've not created any bedding area over there. And we can get up into the side of this where we expect bedding to take place on this side of the ridge, because we have cut bedding area all over in here. That's our interior core area. This is open hardwoods, good turkey woods over here. You can see we have a lot of our turkey stuff right here. Dylan and I were out turkey hunting today, this morning before shooting videos. It's our turkey woods. A good open turkey woods is not a good deer woods. We use that turkey woods for access. We do that in another location too. A couple of locations where we can access through mature timber, blow our scent into there, make noise, access. So you have to have good access through non-deer area and get into the backside of a bedding area. And that's what we do here. We're well away from the food source. So a lot of people don't have that separation of afternoon food source hunting and morning stand hunting. Now I like to hunt mornings again. There's a lot of studies that show that mature bucks move several times more in the morning hours during daylight than they do in the afternoon. Doesn't matter when it is, but all season long, they're moving more in the morning, especially during the rut. So when we come into a stand like this during the rut, pre-rut, could be end of October, all of November, maybe even early December for the second rut, we expect deer at those food sources. We're coming into the backside of bedding, and then take advantage of that great morning opportunity. And then we have the ability to control our wind. We can't come back in here, and that's another thing you see right now too, is a lot of people that'll come back into a location like this. They'll establish a good blind, like we use rednecks out here, and they'll think that because they can put this blind back here in this location, that they're gonna come in here and not worry about their scent. And when it comes to a mature buck, any stray scent that he catches, he's gone. When it comes to those does, fawns, young bucks, not the case. So I want to be able to get back in here and control my scent. And then you see behind Dylan, there's a beautiful white oak. And that white oak has some good branch structure up there. We're going to leave this honeysuckle bush. We're putting a water hole right behind Dylan. We're putting a mock scrape. We'll string it between the stands. See where the mock scrape is right now, where we just stuck it on a tree? That was for the excavator, so he knows where to put the water hole. When he comes in here with a 300-gallon tank, he's going to take these trees out. That water hole is going to sit right here. We'll be able to drive by it, fill it, and then right where Dylan's standing, we'll put a mock scrape. And then that stand, one of our family tradition ladder stands, is going to go right against that white oak back there. So the key things: food plot 150 yards over there and spreading north a long ways, just a pass through in the morning. Bedding area extending this way. We've cut the edge of that food source up there. So I have edging, switchgrass, we feathered the edge. There's a lot of shrubs growing: sumac, gray dogwood, briars, young trees, oaks, red cedar, a lot of different habitat up there. And we've created it and made it better so that you have that screened edge. Now we can have a lot more doe bedding up there, and we're getting into the edge of buck bedding back here. And we can blow our scent that way in the morning off this ridge and not worry about it at all. And we can blow it that way. And as long as that temperature is increasing, which usually takes place till 3 or 4 in the afternoon, hour before dark, 5 o'clock sometimes, then that scent is going to keep rising over these valleys. So we can come in here before daylight, throw our scent into areas where we don't expect deer to be anyways. We don't expect something to be back here right at daybreak. And then when those thermals start to come up, it's probably still before the deer would be back here. And then we have several hours. We could sit here. A lot of times I'm sitting in a morning stand till 1 or 2. And this is an all-day stand because deer can come through bedding, hit the water, and go out to food there. So it's kind of one in between. And then, of course, we can manage our scent. So a lot of key factors where we have the separation of food that creates afternoon, evening stands up there. Let's say our nearest evening stands to right here about 250 to 300 yards away. So we have a big gap in here where it's all deer all the time. In fact, we have a redneck blind on the back side of this food plot up here, and that would be about 300 yards from here. So a long ways away from here, we come in from the opposite direction. So we have a big window where we don't touch, and we're coming to the edge of that. We can control our scent effectively when we come through here. We're going through non-deer area in the woods to get in this location. And then when we leave, we have a very bare point right here that is red cedar and rocky. We don't have a lot of bedding that takes place there during the hunting season. So a great place for us to exit. It's very steep getting out. We call it Snake Point because it's so open. It's good rattlesnake habitat. It's grassy, open. We can slip out there to a lower trail and get down to the truck. It'll be a great exit too. We're actually coming in one way, going out the other way. It's too steep actually to come in that way. And those are some of the conditions we look for to create that morning stand, that perfect morning stand. And I hope you can use some of those ingredients for yourself and create morning stands. But ultimately, you know, it's about creating these great morning stands to capture that high percentage hunt. I know if there's a mature buck back here, I have probably I call it a 40% sit, 50% sit, where we can come in here and I have a 40-50% chance I'm going to shoot that target buck. It's happened for decades for me doing that. It's very precise, very defined. You don't take chances. We don't come into this stand in early season. We come in here pre-rut, rut, second rut, when we expect deer to be active during the morning hours, mature bucks, and then we come into here. So it's about that. You know, come in here, have the perfect morning stand hunt, taking advantage of those great potential. But it's also about your whole property design and development, where you have food over there, bedding back here. You have access to get around your food, get to the back side of this movement, the back side of bedding, so that you have morning stands, afternoon stands. You know, the sign of a bad property plan is no morning stands, all evening stands, or very few morning stands. Most of the time on a stand, we might have 11 stands and 3 or 4 are gonna be purely morning stands, 3 or 4 are gonna be purely afternoon stands. We're gonna have a handful in between. It's gonna be fairly evening of AM, morning, AM, PM stands. We're gonna have probably the fewest number, maybe 20%. Then we're gonna have about 30, 40%, 50% morning, and 40, 30%, 50% of afternoon. A pretty balanced approach to where these stands are here, but you're creating that because you have morning over there, you have open deer cover here where it's all deer all the time, and then you're coming into that back side of the movement. I hope that makes sense. That's the sign of a good parcel, If you tell me you don't have morning stands, then we have some work to do, because you have to have those morning stands. We don't go to a property where we can't find good morning stands, but it's about that separation. You know the worst thing we do? Put a food plot right behind Dylan. We just clear that out. We've cleared it out for the trail. We're actually gonna clear up some of these deadfalls so the deer can more easily move through here, but this is just gonna be a planted trail through here. Planted meaning green max traffic blend that we plant, that we sell through Pure Wildlife Blends. We created that blend because I wanted to mix a grass, bird's foot trefoil, clover, a little bit of vetch. We want to hold the soil. I don't want it to be an actual traction. Now turkeys in the spring, they love it. So this would be our turkey road in the springtime, which is awesome too. But again, take advantage of a great morning stand, but know what it takes to create morning stands and afternoon stands in the first place, and you'll be on your way to harvesting your target bucks a very high percentage of the time each and every season. And it all starts by making sure, of course, you have food, you have bedding, but that you have these great morning stands to take advantage of. That's why we're always looking for them, and you can bet we'll take advantage of this one this season. Guys, it's food plot time, and I really urge you to check out our food plot company, Pure Wildlife Blends. It's called Pure for a reason. I invite you to check it out. We have food plot blends for all types, and we try to give you all this content on YouTube, articles on the site, to help you make sure you not only do it right, plant it right, but you pick the right seed blend for your circumstances.